Denim Darlin, and today I have a fun video, something that I've been excited to do for a very long time. I've been wanting to compare a men's pair of 6-inch classic moc toes to a women's pair of 6-inch classic moc toes. It's been difficult for me to do that because the 875 and pretty much any other style was obviously discontinued years ago in a small 4D size, which is what I am in Red Wing men's heritage boots. But I got my hands on a pair of 9075s. This is a pair of discontinued 6-inch moc toes in Red Wing's classic black harness leather. I am stoked that I found a pair in a size 4D, and I happen to already have the women's version, which is the 6-inch classic moc toe, style number 3373 in black boundary leather. So today I will be comparing both. For those of you wondering what the differences are in men's versus women's as far as leather thickness, weight, aesthetics, materials used, and also how they look on, I will be showing you all of that today. I will be showing you close-ups of both of the boots, as well as talking about the differences in how they age. Well, let's get started. Here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's a close-up of both boots side by side. This is the men's classic 6-inch moc toe, style number 9075 in black harness leather, and the women's style number 3373 in black boundary leather. My women's is obviously already worn, and these are brand new, yet to be worn. I will start with the men's and just talk about the boots, how they're constructed, and show you close-up details, and then I'll move on to the women's. The men's 9075 has the Red Wing logo engraved into the leather. I think it's pretty awesome that Red Wing used to do that. It features Red Wing's popular and famous Puritan triple stitch stitching, 3 rows of stitching. It has a black Goodyear leather welt which goes all the way around the boot. Nickel eyelets, there are 7 of them. All black Taslan laces. Beautiful white contrast stitching on the moc toe as well as around the Goodyear leather welt. Red Wing men's famous traction tread cushion crepe outsole. These boots feature a fully gusseted tongue. There is my size 4D, style number 9075, and these were made in May of 2012. The insole is a leather footbed, and the lining on the inside is leather. Let me try getting this camera in there more. It's hard to see, but you could sort of see it. I wanted to show you on the footbed. But you see that? Leather. Brown leather. And the heel counter is also leather. This boot was discontinued in 2018 and the last retail price was $279.99. The black prairie leather, which is the leather that replaced the black harness leather, currently retails for $299.99. The 9075 is made on Red Wing's famous 23 last, which is the men's last for their 6-inch classic moc toe. The women's 3373 classic 6-inch moc toe also features Red Wing's famous Puritan triple stitch stitching. It has a brown leather welt going all the way around the boot, which allows for easy resoling. The women's boots also have nickel eyelets and tasselan laces. However, these have brown and black tasselan laces, whereas the men's have all black tasselan laces. Notice how the women's eyelets are smaller than the men's, significantly smaller. The women's feature the women's famous polyurethane traction tread outsole. It is lighter than the men's in weight. And the women's polyurethane traction tread outsole also lasts significantly longer than the men's. Like my men's moc toes, I'll wear them and within like a couple weeks they're already starting to shave down significantly, but my women's moc toes, I'll wear them. I'll wear them for many wears and then they barely start to show a dent. I should actually show you guys what my 877s, which are fairly new still, look like compared to my 3375s, which are a few years old by now. Just to show you guys, these are my men's 877s, which I've put about, I'll say about 15 at most total wears in them. And the soles are already starting to shave down. And these are my original women's moc toes, my very first pair of Red Wing boots ever, my 3375s. And the soles are still looking great. I love these so much. But look at the soles. They're wearing down so nicely. So there's a benefit to the women's polyurethane traction tread sole. The women's tongue is gusseted, but it doesn't come as high as the men's does. The women's gusseted tongue comes up to here, whereas the men's comes up to here, to the second, and the women's right below the third eyelet. The women's tongue is also shorter than the men's. The men's comes out, the women's lands below. This is the equivalent of a size 4D men's. It's a 6.5B in women's. The B means that the women's is a men's narrow width. The D means that the men's is a women's wide width. There's a style number, and these were made June of 2020. The insole of the women's is a Texan insole, leather cover with foam underneath, cork underneath that. They are also leather on the inside, black leather, whereas the men's was brown leather, right where that white stitching is on the right hand side, if you can see that. So both of them are leather insole, and the heel counter is also leather. The men's is brown, the women's is black on black. The women's black Boundary 6-inch moc toe currently retails for $309.99 and is made on a 105 last, which is based on their classic Moc's original last, but has been slimmed down slightly for an ideal women's fit. Something that I want to show everybody is how the leathers age. I've never said this before that I know of, but the women's black Boundary leather is my least favorite leather. What really bothers me is the gray undertone that the leather exposes once it starts to age and break in. Like the boots don't even look black anymore. And I know that could be seen as beautiful, but I don't like it. I don't like it. They look faded and just not nice to me. And I've looked up images of the black harness leather aged, and it looks like the leather retains its black color. Something else I want to point out that's minor is that the spacing right here between the women's and the men's is different. The men's is narrower there whereas the women's is wider. I've been curious for a long time to know by how much the men's leather is thicker than the women's. The women's measures at 4.5 millimeters, and the men's measures at 6 millimeters. That's a 1.5 millimeter difference. Okay, let's see how much each boot weighs. The women's classic 6-inch moc toe comes at 442 grams. The men's 6-inch classic moc toe comes in at 588 grams. That's a 146-gram difference. The men's outsole measures at 10.25 inches. The women's outsole measures at just a line over 10.25 inches. It looks odd because these boots have been worn, so the last is no longer straight. It's curved up just a tad. Here is each boot on. I can tell you that, oddly enough, the men's instep feels a little tighter than the women's, right in this area. This one, I mean, maybe because I already broke mine in, right? But this one feels a lot tighter here. Width-wise, the men's is definitely wider. Look at the difference in the moc toe. The men's is rounder than the women's. The women's is a little pointier. Size feels the same. Let me show you other angles. What did you guys think about both boots side by side? Would you choose the men's if you had the choice, ladies, or would you stick to the women's? This is my opinion. I've seen quite a few women ask for the men's sizes to come back in stock. I'm one of those women who would love to have the option. I personally love breaking in a boot. I never feel the weight of boots, which is really odd. I hear people complaining about the weight all the time. That's not even something that's on my mind. So weight-wise, I don't care. Break-in, I can tolerate a good break-in, and I do love how the boots feel underneath my feet once broken in. I do have a preference over the men's. However, I've seen too many women complain about the break-in period in boots. I've even heard women complaining about the break-in period in the women's boots. So, just to let you ladies know, the break-in period in the men's boots is tougher. The leather is made with bull leather, whereas the women's is made with female cow leather. The leather on the women's is softer, it is thinner, but it's also very good quality. So this one takes longer to mold to your foot and break in. It's tough. The insole of the men's footbed is really thick, and it's very hard underneath your feet when you start breaking it in. The women's leather with the foam padding underneath the Texan makes it so that the women's feels more like a sneaker underneath your foot when breaking in. So this one is so much easier to break in. As far as quality goes, I do believe both boots are very durable. I wear my boots to work all the time. I beat them up and they've lasted for a long time. So I cannot complain about the quality in the women's boots. I've never had Speed hooks come off of my boots though. I've never had issues. I'd say that both boots are equally durable. So Red Wing heard and created a line specifically for women so that women would have a better time breaking in boots. However, Red Wing, please just bring back size 4D for women. 4, 5, 6. I know you start at 7D in most boots. A lot of us women don't mind the break-in period and would prefer a men's boot. All right, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video was enjoyable. I hope it was helpful. I have much more content that I plan to create, and I appreciate every single one of you who tunes in and watches my videos. This is Denim Darlin, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Take care.